What would it be like to be able to choose your own reality, to be able to decide how things turned out? Most people think that the reality they experience is determined by the events that take place. The events of my life determine the reality that I experience. But it doesn't work like that. The trouble is, reality seems so finite. It is fixed, and we move through it as best we can on the way to doing whatever it is we're doing at the time. Ancient wisdom sees it differently, though. Hindus have a word called Maya to distinguish the subjective world that we experience from the more fundamental truth out of which everything, including ourselves, arises. And all of the opportunities and all of the possibilities that it presents to us are determined by what we think and what we do. Karma, if you like. Now, back in 1927, quantum physics started to get very excited about this whole idea of subjective reality. Back then, two physicists called Davison and Germer conducted the now famous double-slit experiment. What they wanted to know was whether or not a photon of light behaved as a particle or as a wave. But what they discovered was that changed depending on whether they observed the experiment. The reality of the experiment was determined by the choices that they made about whether they observed it. So what's going on there? Well, let's explore it with a little thought experiment. Do you consider yourself to be lucky or unlucky? Whichever one you choose will actually become a self-fulfilling reality. Now, the thought experiment. I'm going to tell you a story, and you're going to be the hero of this story, and I'll tell you the story twice. In the first telling of the story, you're the hero who thinks of themselves as someone who is unlucky. Okay? So get yourself into character. You're walking down the street, and you see £10 on the floor. You bend down to pick it up, and you do your back in. I am so unlucky. And you go around the whole day telling everybody how unlucky you are that you did your back in reaching down for a £10 note on the floor. And all day your back is killing you. Part 2 of the thought experiment. In this part, you're still the hero, but you're the hero who considers themselves to be lucky. You're walking down the street, you see £10 on the floor. You bend down to pick it up and you do your back in. I just found £10. And you go around telling everybody how lucky you are because walking down the street you found £10. And pretty quickly the pain in your back has disappeared. So what's going on there? Well, I can best explain it by sharing with you a tool that you can use to start creating the kind of reality that you want. Most people think that the reality they experience is determined by the events that take place. The events of my life determine the reality that I experience. But it doesn't work like that. The reality of the world you experience isn't determined by the events that take place, but by how you choose to react to the events. And because you can choose to respond in any number of different ways, you can create any number of different realities. Events plus the choices that we make equal our reality. So the next time you find yourself in a reality that is less than all you would want it to be, ask yourself what choices you made that had it turn out that way. And more importantly than that, ask yourself what new choices you can start to make so that you can choose your reality.